Begin an open session with a call to order, pledge of allegiance, moment of silence, public service announcements, town administrator update, action items that include consideration and possible action on the Sealer of Waite's proposed fee schedule, consideration and possible action on the Sturbridge 250th anniversary committee appointments, consideration and possible action on the recognition of the Young Conservationist of the Year, consideration and possible action on the special alcohol beverage license request for Maximus Enterprises for a pickleball tournament on February 7th, 2025. Consideration and possible action on the revised agreement between the town of Sturbridge and Fire Chief John A. Grasso. Consideration and possible action to execute an MOA with Teamsters Local 170 parenthetical firefighters regarding a stipend for oversight and coordination of part-time call firefighters and eligibility for uniform allowances for part-time call firefighters, consideration and possible action on the update of in-holder's license for Econo Lodge, consideration and possible action to set a date for a show cause hearing for the following business operation licenses: Sturbridge Motors and Sturbridge Antique Shops. Consideration and possible action on the Charlton Coalition for Public Health Shared Services Grant Agreement. Consideration and possible action for an easement on 9 River Road. Consideration and possible action on landfill closure revolving account. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Heather Blakely, DPW Director, as fence viewer for a term to expire February 20, 2025. Consideration and possible action on execution of agreement with National Grid for easement use for Grand Trunk Trail extension. Consideration and possible action on the resignation of facilities department, the director of the facilities department. Old business, new business, correspondence, Harrington Memorial Hospital strike that. Approval of minutes, citizens forum, and executive session. With that, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd also like to take a moment of silence and just have everybody just stop and think about what's occurred in Los Angeles and Southern California over the last few weeks and seems to continue to occur. And I just want to extend that prayer and thanks to all the firefighters in the country and everybody working in fire service and the people that are risking their lives every day there. So with that, please join me with a moment of silence. Thank you. With that, I'd like to begin with public service announcements. Mary Lou?
I have nothing.
Chase?
I have nothing, thank you.
Oh, I have one for you.
Just that a lot of people have been inquiring about skating rink on the Common this year. No, there's not going to be one. And it was determined by the rec committee, and it has to do with the fact that the past 2 winters, it was useless. It never froze. So they decided this year might be the same. So they decided not to put it up, so.
Well, with that note, the Res, I think, is opening this weekend.
Saturday, yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah. All right, excellent. I also have a public service announcement. Just please note that the town of Sturbridge is accepting applications for the town of Sturbridge tax assistance for low-income senior and disabled citizens program. If you would like assistance in paying your real estate bill and you are 60 years or older or have a recognized disability, your total gross household income does not exceed $31,998.01 if single, or if married, $38,646.15, or if others reside in the household, you may be eligible. All taxes and fees due to the town must be current. Please go online at sturbridge.gov, or you can call the senior center at 508-347-7575. Again, that's 508-347-7575. The deadline to file an application is February 15th, 2025. Again, that's February 15th, 2025. So thank you. And other than that, I have no further public service announcements. We do not have any department reports this evening, right, Robin?
Nope.
All right. Moving to town administrator update.
I'll go through these quickly. Just an update, Brookfield Animal Control. We do work with Brookfield, and they have asked us if they could occasionally leave a dog in there. Chief Dessert is fine, Michelle is fine. There are all sorts of agreements that we don't call anybody in on overtime to take care of other towns' dogs, but it just provides a service for animal welfare. ADA accessibility self-evaluation, we received responses from one member of the public as well as Jean Boubon. These will be incorporated. A final version will be available in coming weeks. I am still requesting from the public. I need 3 people on the Disabilities Commission, and I need 3 people who have disabilities of some sort. If you're out there and you're interested, it doesn't, disability falls under a wide range of things. It could be hearing impaired, it could be eyesight, it could be wheelchair bound, it could be stroke recovery, whatever it might be. So I do need 3 people. I have 1 able person, which I'm required to have, 1 person with a family member with a disability, and ideally 3 people with disabilities. So I need that commission together, so then we can take that disability study and prioritize based on what people with disabilities believe are the priorities we should hit first based on our resources. Capital and betterment, both capital and betterment committees have met and voted on the projects. The capital committee, just so you all are aware, is voting to utilize nearly $2 million in free cash. It's a lot of money coming out of the free cash this year as we did last year. We brought a lot out. The reason this year primarily are DPW vehicles, because with the electric vehicle mandate coming, we are not going to be able to get trucks. Other communities are all sort of in competition now. So we need to put the orders in for these trucks now. We probably are actually going to put it on a special meeting, so we don't have to wait till July 1st if town meeting approves those. So when you see that budget, that capital and $2 million coming out of free cash, that's so we can get a jump on those trucks. Lake Road, we met with the residents and the fire and police chiefs as well as DPW. They are installing their gate and ensuring all safety precautions for first responders, neighbors, and everybody involved. The town staff met with representatives from DOT and Noble again to discuss traffic counts. When we last met with DOT in November, the engineers for Noble were told that if they met the warrant number for a light, even temporarily, that would be fine. So they met the warrant numbers, and now DOT needs another meeting to decide if the numbers were gathered the way DOT believes they should, even though they gave no parameters on that prior. I'm just reporting back. Dish Antenna, Jean and I met with representatives from Dish Antenna as they prepare their presentation for the planning board. I just want people to know all official notifications to butters will go out accordingly. This is the plan where it's just the antenna on top of the tower with the shield around it. They are aware of the testing for that one neighbor that had a concern, and they are providing all plans and any site issues that may come up. But that is in front of planning. The
Do you
movie
know
theater-
when that's scheduled?
Late February or early March, but I will check, because there was something else Jean wanted from them that I think was going to delay it a couple weeks. They have been good about getting anything Jean has requested. Movie theater, looks like sometime in late February for the movie theater, mid to late February. I know we get a lot of questions on that. Podunk, the town continues to tag and catalog trees and questions in relation to the solar project. The hearing is scheduled February 10th. This hearing is on the public trees only, and those are trees in the right-of-way. So sometimes people think they're on their property, but they're actually public right-of-way trees. Jean and Tony are out there cataloging each tree. Private trees, I believe all residents have been met with by National Grid. They have to actively sign off on their tree being taken down. And I believe almost everybody except maybe one household has signed off on the trees involved being taken down. There is on the planning board website a spreadsheet that lists all the trees, public and private. It says tree blah, address, public or private, and it lists it public or private. And then it actually lists permission granted on the privates. So if you are a private tree resident and you are not sure if you have given permission or not, or you did not, but you're concerned that they might have somehow put permission down, go check that spreadsheet and it will show, did you give permission or did you not give permission? National Grid will be hosting a customer assistance event at Joshua Hyde Library on March 13th. Residents will be available from 3 to 7, representatives to answer any customer questions and concerns. It's just an outreach meeting. Heather and I sat in on a CMMPO meeting, which is the TIP meeting with DOT. They are looking to prioritize a whole road Route 20 improvement, roundabout thing there. It likely won't happen, even if it gets onto the tip, it'll probably be 5 years, which is why we're still arguing that on a temporary basis, they need to allow something at Noble. And even if he has to pull that out in 5 years, and he's willing to spend the money right now to put it in temporarily, he doesn't care if it gets pulled out in 5 years, he just wants it in. So, but those two things are sort of happening at the same time. Little update on the landfill, and this comes up later on a separate issue, but related. The Board of Health invited me to attend its January 14th meeting to talk about the engineer's assessment of the landfill life. The landfill has approximately 7 years of life left. And in order to cap it, you need about 3 years for permitting, capping, getting the fill in certain areas have to be brought up to grade for the capping. I did talk a little bit about the fact that we're going to have to keep investing money until we get to that 7 years. And since we have a very finite life, which is not much longer than if we were to start now, it's basically a 4-year difference. If we started today, it's going to be 3 to 3.5 years before it would close, or we can wait 3.5 years and then close it. But in the meantime, we're investing money, we have staff, we have all sorts of things. I think it's a cross of both boards, and maybe there needs to be a joint discussion between the two boards on which direction we should take. I do think we should look into starting a closure process now. The grading work that we have to do next year is actually work that would have to be done for the grading anyway. We can control the type of fill that comes in now, and even the trash that comes in now, to build some of that up to grade. We're using that crushed glass, which is acceptable. So we can actually sort of still run it and get it to closure point now. What we're also looking at is ensuring that the public sees no loss of service. It may be a per-use fee if it's a transfer station as opposed to a tag like there is now. There are all sorts of options we can look at, but eventually it is going to go away, whether we start that process now or 3.5 years from now. It makes sense to me that if it has to happen anyway, and we can still provide a level of service, that we should consider at least looking at starting it sooner rather than later, instead of just continuing to pour money another 3 years on the back end. But I don't know if that's something, and you all can just think about whether or not you think that's something we should meet jointly with the Board of Health. It sort of crosses policy on both boards, I think.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to make sense to me. We should probably schedule a joint meeting sooner than later, so we're out ahead of it. Does anybody have any feelings to the contrary?
No problem with that.
Yeah, so why don't we, in maybe not next month, but the month after?
Sure, we can
have a
bring them
meeting?
into our meeting and have a joint.
Yeah, or, yeah, whatever
Or
works.
vice, yeah. I think they're daytime, so I don't know if it
Oh,
would
yeah,
be
that
easier
might
for
be.
you guys to have it here. Okay, thank you, that is it. And then I also had just a free cash comparison. I know Mary's not here, she may want to, and Mary Blanchard also added another sheet to it. I think one of the things, Mary, your sheet had the free cash. I also had a sheet that showed free cash and stabilization, because stabilization is just a little less accessible, but it is still money we hold in savings, if you will. It just earns interest and we can't pull it out as quickly.
Yeah, but it takes town meeting vote to
Yeah,
spend it.
yeah.
But Mary's question was just free cash.
Yeah, but I just
So-
wanted everybody to see
Yeah,
the
so
whole
we shouldn't
breakdown.
be throwing stabilization in with it.
And it may be a
confuses it.
policy that we put, maybe we put more in stabilization, but that's a discussion. And then it did have the bond ratings for those cities also, because I know she had asked a little bit about ratings.
Yeah, did you people get the numbers I
Yes.
sent
Yep,
out?
that came.
Yeah, maybe we can
Thank
tack
you.
this next week when
Yeah.
Mary's
Yeah.
feeling a little
And,
better. Our next meeting.
And again, I do think that the ones that I have are 23 numbers. We went through over 2 million last year, we're gonna go through over 2 million this year. And our turnbacks are less and less because we are tightening our budget that much more. So those numbers will be, within the new financial policies that we've just put in, we will be well within those ranges.
Great, thank you. All right, so we're gonna move on to action items. The first is action item A, which is consideration and possible action on the Sealer of Waite's proposed fee schedule. I had a really hard time reading this fee schedule. I don't know about everybody.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I
It's
couldn't
called my
find-
Excel.
Yeah, it's a little better, but there's some
Yeah.
broken numbers in it too. I'm not sure. So if maybe you could give us a sort of.
Yes, I could give you a general overview, and when I started here, we were paying the state $5,000 a year to do all our weights and measures.
Yeah.
They don't charge anybody to do it, we just pay them. So businesses get this done, we have no fee. It went up to $13,000 2 years ago. I looked into trying to take it on ourselves, we'd have to buy over $100,000 worth of equipment. That didn't seem to make a whole lot of sense at $13,000, plus pay someone to do it. So it would take us 10 years to make our money back. Now they've gone up to $21,000. in our budget. So I emailed it, I said, well, why have you gone up? And they said, well, our labor rates have gone up, and you also have a few new gas pumps and new cash registers. It really is a fee that should be charged back, because now what's happening is the taxpayers as a whole, homeowners, are really paying for gas pumps to be certified, for cash registers to be certified. This really is a state law, it's a requirement. I am suggesting that we charge a fee to the businesses, and what the fee I used mirrors what the state is currently using. The comparables I put in there are a little deceptive because they are 23's rates, and again, they went up on us almost 50% since 23, so I'm presuming that the rates that these towns are using are probably based on their old fees as well. I'm not looking to make money. The fees that I've proposed here come out to $21,000. I basically said, he's charging us based on, this is the anticipated numbers that we're doing. This is what we would charge for each one. Here's how we came up with $21,000. I said, fine, I'll do the exact same fee schedule, except I'll make I'll ask the business to pay for it. I don't want to hurt businesses, but on the other hand, now it's becoming a significant amount of money in the budget that I'm not getting any offsetting revenue, and the business makes money for every extra gas pump or every extra cash register. It just doesn't seem equitable. To me, again, this is one of those fee for use. It shouldn't be a general tax.
All right, comments from the board?
Yeah, I agree with that.
It seems fair. I'm a little, I don't fully know if I know can piece together what the price per business with pumps is on this schedule.
So let's say,
That might be-
let's say $54. Let's say a gas station has 6 literal pumps.
Yeah.
3 pumps, 2 stations on each pump. The state basically is billing us $54 for each one of those pumps.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is, we should then bill back that
Okay.
54. I am going to work with the state if you all approve this, and I'm going to talk to our state reps in my rural meeting with Ann Goby tomorrow to see if the state can assist in the billing process, because now that's another burden finance is going to have to take on chasing this money. So it's sort of this unfunded mandate. They charge us, they're not willing to help us get the money back, so that's my next step if you approve this.
Yeah, they almost should just cut us out entirely if they're gonna do it.
Yeah, and just do it directly.
But so that sounds like a relatively de minimis cost, for the business and just clear a budget item. Do you wanna vote right now?
I think I need a motion to accept these fees.
I can't, I don't think I can move to accept these fees
Okay.
as written, because I can't
Can't
read
read
them. And there's some broken numbers on it, so why don't we get an updated fee schedule?
Okay. What I'll do is I'll do the straight fees without all the comparisons, and, because
Yeah.
those straight fees are based exactly on what the state is charging.
Yeah, so if you
No,
can just
that
tell
would
us for
Yep.
the upcoming year, we don't need anything retroactive, for
Yep.
the upcoming year, what the cost is, and if you can give us some background on the numbers too, I think that'd be helpful.
I will do that.
All right, thank you. So we'll table that for now. All right, consideration and possible action on the Sturbridge 250th Anniversary Committee appointments. Robin Roberts, Mary Lou Volpe, Richard Volpe, Joan Chamberlain, William Chamberlain, Megan Mooney, and Derek Heiderman.
So I'm excited about this. I had spoken to you all about pulling a committee together to start thinking about the nation's 250th birthday celebration, which is coming very quickly. I had wonderful response from people I have not met, people who are stepping forward, which is great, and people who've been involved for a while. I also am asking Mr. Hersey to get a representative from the Memorials and Monuments Committee, because I do think we should have someone from that committee on it as well. But we have representatives from Historic. I think it's going to be great. I also am going to reach out to Mr. Breer to have him honorary on the committee, because I just don't feel right having a 250th revolutionary type thing without Mr. Breer somehow involved. I haven't been here long, but I've been here long enough to know that. So these are the people we have asked and who have indicated interest, who I'm asking if the board would consider. If it all goes through tonight, if the clerk's office is still open, you can run down and swear. It's an ad hoc, but it still should be sworn, because there may be involvement of hiring vendors or wanting vendors and recommendations. So I think it still should be a sworn position.
Makes sense to me. Questions, comments from the board?
No
Can you stand
questions.
up? You want to have them stand up? Everybody just stand up
Yeah,
so you
stand
see the
up.
faces? Because I'd like to see the faces. And OSV is represented as well.
Yeah.
OSV was on there, so thank you all. Thanks for stepping forward. And Mr. Volpe is, he's included too. Thank you all
All
very
right,
much for
great.
coming tonight. Appreciate it. Does anybody want to say anything, or? you want to?
No, I mean,
you
it's,
good?
I think we're gonna have a lot of
Good?
process.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of process, yeah.
There's more to come.
I will, once you all swear, I will call an introductory meeting and get everybody going.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you all for coming, I appreciate it.
So do we have a motion to
Okay,
approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the appointment of Robin Roberts, Mary Lou Volpe, Richard Volpe, Joan Chamberlain, William Chamberlain, Megan Mooney, Derek Heidman
Yeah.
to the 250th Anniversary Committee.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Can
Thank
I
you.
vote?
Yeah, you can vote. You're not getting anything from
No,
it.
you-
It's not a stipend. It's not a stipended
It's not a stipended
position.
position.
There's no money near those.
All right, thank you all for enjoying it.
appreciate
It's
it.
gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to action item C, consideration and possible action on the recognition of the Young Conservationist of the Year as voted upon by the Conservation Commission on January 8th, 2025. Hey, Lauren. Wherever you want. Go ahead, Lauren.
Good evening, Lauren Vivier, Conservation Agent. You all received my memo. The Conservation Commission voted on awarding the Young Conservationist Award to Jonah Scherer this year. This was a unanimous vote by the commission. This is a new award that we started this year. We don't really have the opportunity to recognize these exemplary young people in this community, and I think that this is a great opportunity to do so. Jonah has provided some great, new opportunities for the community. He's been a great role model for his peers, and we want to recognize him in that effort and wish him the best of luck. And maybe we'll see him on a board or a commission in the future
No doubt.
someday.
Great. All right.
Thank you.
I don't think.
Lauren,
Thanks,
congratulations.
Lauren. Thanks.
Congratulations.
All right. Moving on, consideration and possible action on the special alcoholic beverage licensure request for Maximus Enterprises for a pickleball tournament on February 7th, 2025. All right.
Police chief signed off on this. This is through Tuda Quanti's.
Yeah. Where's the
Are you-
location of
Where's
it?
it gonna be?
Is it at Pickleball U?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's at
but
Pickleball
it's
U. Yeah, it's on Main Street. Yep.
Maximus Enterprise
Yes, at
LLC
Pickleball.
doing
But it's at
business
Pickleball U.
as
Yeah.
Judy
Tuda
Quanti.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's Mr. Placella. Okay, no comments or questions. Anybody have any concerns?
No.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the special alcoholic beverage license request from Maxim's Enterprises for a pickleball tournament on February 7th, 2025.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Yeah, great. All those in favor? Excellent. Okay,
Excuse me,
action.
Jamie?
Oh, sorry.
We didn't vote on the, do we have to vote on the Young Conservationist Award?
I,
Or do we?
I don't think,
I don't think so.
probably should.
Okay, I just wanted to
under-
know.
also
yeah.
not a stipended position.
What
But
is-
no, I think it's the recognition. And
Okay,
it's-
I just wanted to make
It
sure.
was the recognition, so, and we appreciate him. All right, moving on to action item E, consideration and possible action on the revised agreement between the town of Sturbridge and Chief John Grasso.
Yep, I just wanted to be clear, I had listed as longevity on the percentages, it's a step increase like what it mirrors the union contract, the seniority steps, not longevity, we just want to be clear on the wording. And then the other thing was that originally, the contract was written with his vacation tied to a fiscal year, way back when he first came, but it actually was tied to his anniversary. So I just didn't want misinformation in the contract. Barbara picked up on these, so I'm like, oops. So just in front of you for approval on cleanup language.
Okay, do we have any questions? We have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the revised agreement between the town of Sturbridge and Fire Chief John A. Grasso.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
I'm just going to pass that as you go. Okay. That's an easy one.
All right, moving on to consideration and possible action to execute an MOA with Teamsters Local 170, our firefighters, regarding a stipend, what's it? Oh, sure, of course. With Teamsters Local 170 regarding a stipend for oversight and coordination of part-time call firefighters and eligibility for uniform allowances for part-time call firefighters.
So if you recall, several weeks back, you voted to expand our call and part-time ranks. There's now more of an effort to ensure proper training, current training, oversight of that and coordination. I'll let the chief sort of get into the leadership concept of it now, and then we'll talk a little bit about the money and why the money, so.
Yeah, so one of the big issues that I was faced with in 2017 when I started here was we had a group of individuals that were on the part-time roster, but I never saw them. There were policies previously in place to require certain attendance at trainings, at calls, but those policies were not enforced. Ultimately, those people decided to separate, and that was one of the big, one of my big sticking points when speaking to the union about expanding the department, that we have some type of oversight. It's a lot of work to track hours and requirements, but those individuals have to be held to the same standard that all of the full-time firefighters are as far as training is concerned. So we came up with the idea of offering the responsibility to any of the current employees. And this was a way for me to have some security that their attendance and training and those requirements would be met. Record keeping would be met, their certifications met, and the union approached the town administrator about some type of compensation for this.
And so what we looked at was that in the initial setup, because it's a group of people coming on now, it initially would take a little more time and effort to get it going, and so we offered $5,000 for the remainder of this budget year. We do have enough money in the salary line item to cover that. And then going forward, it would be a $3,000 a year stipend. It might even be one of the part-timers if they're qualified.
I've already had several people come to me and express their interest in taking this on, so.
And so they would then maintain and continue for anybody new coming on board.
Okay, questions from the board? Anything? I did have one, so, and maybe I missed it. So would this be, so you, basically, Chief, you're appointing the position? It's not a bid position?
It's not a bid position, this is a volunteer,
Okay. So basically, they have to come to you, tell you want to do it, then you say, we're gonna have you do it, not you.
yes. Yeah, there will be an interview process, there are some certain minimum requirements, but.
Okay. No, that's all I figured it was that. All right, do we have a motion?
I just need authorization to enter into that side letter.
Sure. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the execution of the MOA with the Teamsters Local 170 firefighters regarding a stipend for oversight and coordination of part-time call firefighters and eligibility for uniform allowances for part-time call firefighters.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor?
Oh,
Sorry.
Chief, what amount of money are we talking here for?
I think
The
it's on the.
uniforms?
Oh, that's the second one. We'll do that separate.
For the
uniforms, yeah. Hold,
You want, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got two items, basically.
No, I knew there was
First-
money
yeah.
someplace and
Yeah,
I
first
didn't-
is the salary, the stipend.
Yeah, so I understand
This is just to,
one-time $5,000 payment for the startup compensation, right?
Yes.
And then it's recurring in the next fiscal year at
Yes.
$3,000 per annum.
Yeah,
Yes.
paid quarterly, so that if it's a part-timer who leaves, that we're only into them for a quarter at a time,
Yeah,
the most,
and,
yeah.
and is that and that's not FLSA eligible? That's not in their overtime, or is that in their overtime?
It's not in their overtime, this would be a quarterly payment.
It's a separate stipend, yeah.
Do you want me to speak on the uniforms?
Yeah, just, we'll get the vote on this, I want to make sure we have the.
Well, they were merged, so.
Oh, okay, are they both in the, yeah, they're both in
So
the
walk through
motion?
the,
Okay.
to Mary's point,
Yep.
let's walk through the.
Okay.
All right, so
That's my error.
the language in the current agreement for uniforms for part-time employees says that they have to work a minimum of 200 scheduled hours.
Okay.
The way we've kind of evolved now, the on-call people are not going to be able to work scheduled hours. So what we've done is they have to meet their certain minimum requirements. The on-call people have certain minimum requirements, the part-time people have certain minimum requirements. The annual allowance is $300 a person. That's in the contract currently, that number is not changing. However, the requirements that they have to meet in order to be eligible to receive that are changing to make more sense.
Okay, questions?
No, but this 3,000 payment paid quarterly.
3,000 a year, paid in quarterly increments.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
because,
no, 3,000 a
well,
year.
it could be taken,
Yeah.
the way it's written is,
Recurring.
for
through the
payments.
Yeah, paid quarterly, I'll clean that up. I'll clean that up. Jim drafted that, I should have.
I'll apply.
Don't tell Jim, as he's trying to slip up by
I
me.
haven't seen that, so I.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, it
I'll
should just
clear
say,
that again.
just
annually.
per annum,
Yeah.
and then you do
Yeah.
that.
I'll add that in there, yeah. Thanks, Mary. I could see me fighting with him on that one down there.
Yeah.
Saying, wait, that's not what we agreed to.
I think we would've gotten through it.
I think we would have been okay. We would have been okay, but
But
never
the,
hurts to be careful.
No, this is very good catch, Mary. All right, so noting the amendment to include a recurring $3,000 per annum payment that is in fact paid quarterly, and the document so reflecting it. Do we have a motion contingent on that condition?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great, so let's get that cleaned up, Robin, and then you
Yep.
have authority to sign.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief, appreciate you. All right, moving on, action item G, consideration and possible action on the update to the inn holder's license for Econo Lodge from Om Gyarti LLC to Sri Krishna Hospitality. You come on down and tell us what's going on, sir. If you could just identify yourself for the record and let us know what the license change is.
My name is Tushar Lapani. Thank you for the opportunity. So we purchased that Sturbridge Econo Lodge on the November 21st. So we are owner-operated business small group. We are a group of 4, and this will be our 8th property. So we bring a good experience in the hospitality, and we have applied for the business license.
Okay. Questions from the board? I didn't get the paper on this, did you?
No.
Okay.
It sounds fine. The issue being that, it's not in our packet.
1 second, see if we have information with it. Yeah, there's some history there. I haven't looked through what's.
Okay,
This is just a paper trail on it.
yeah, so. All right. So the inn holder's license. All right, so the building inspector and the fire chief have signed off on this? Is this on the actual property itself?
Yep.
Mary, you wanna take a look? I don't think we need any other signatories on an inn holder license, do we? No, I don't think so. Do you have anybody have any
Fire and
concerns?
inspections, health possibly, but,
No, I mean, this form is
Well-
Yeah.
building and,
yeah, the building, it's just building and fire on that form, so.
Yeah, but there's room for us to sign.
Oh, no, the last
For
page.
approval,
Yeah.
for approval.
oh, yeah, no, I'm not, I'm just talking about it. I wanted to make sure the
Yeah,
relevant
just to make sure
inspections
that
were in place.
everybody's comfortable with it, yeah.
Yeah, because we had 4 before.
Yeah, so, yeah, that's the most pertinent page.
Speaking of before, there's an R missing on Chief Grasso's memo
Oh,
for eligibility.
Oh,
okay. So with that, I don't see any issue with it. Have you had any issues with any of your other properties of consequence?
I mean, not that we are aware of, but so far, like in 1.5 months, we haven't seen anything crazy. Or I think even someone from the fire department was also there for the inspection. It went fine.
Well, yeah, your inspections are in place since the end of last year, as far as I can tell, so I don't see an issue with it if the board has a motion.
An issue.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to update the inn holder's license from Econo Lodge from Om Guitari LLC to Sri Krishani Hospitality.
I'll second that.
All right, all those in favor? Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so consideration and possible action to set a date for a show cause hearing for the following business operations licenses: Sturbridge Motors and Sturbridge Antique Shops. The middle one was
Been
cured.
resolved.
So what are the status of these permits?
We have reached out, both of these entities owed some type of information to us. We have reached out to them. In fact, Francis spoke with them directly, both directly last week. One indicated that he was gonna come in and settle everything and did not yet. So just a notice to the board so that I can move forward and let them know there'd be a show cause hearing coming up. And maybe these will get resolved before then or not, but in the meantime, they still have not picked up their this year's licenses.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, they gotta do what they gotta do. Does the board have any concerns with that?
There
No.
is, just so you are aware, there is nothing earth-shattering, life-saving, dangerous, or anything like that, or else we would enforce immediately in some way or another. If this is more,
Well, we can't deprive
we
without the
can't,
process
exactly,
of the
so we
public
have to,
hearing.
yeah.
So what's our second meeting in March?
Seventeenth,
17th.
St. Patrick's Day.
St. Patrick's Day. Yep.
Oh, Pippin, good day to you.
So we'll set a meeting for.
Yes, to the 17th, is that fine
Yep.
with everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, please get the notices out.
Yep, will do.
All right, moving on. Consideration and possible action on the Charlton Coalition for Public Health Shared Services Grant.
So this, yeah, this came from Ken and Board of Health. You have signed this shared services agreement before. The change this year is there are some scope of services, I guess, that have been changed, and there is no end date. It now just pens funding. So there's no clear end date. But apparently, from what Ken is telling me, this is the same agreement that all of the other towns involved are signing, so
Okay, and Linda signed this on December 10th?
I believe so.
Yeah. So the Board of Health, there's no concerns, and it's basically status quo ante, but there is not a sunset provision in it. All right, question, comments, concerns from the board? Do we have a motion?
Make a motion to sign the Charlton Coalition for Public Health Shared Services Grant Agreement.
We have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right. Moving on to action item J, consideration and possible action for easement of 9 River Road.
We're just holding on that for signatures from the other party.
Okay, so table it.
Table that, please.
All right, so tabled. All right, consideration and possible action on the landfill closure revolving account.
So this is something, you got a memo from Barbara. We have nearly $1 million in that account. A closure would be $750,000 to $1 million. Going back to what we talked about, you know, that's based on today's prices or within the next few years, the anticipation of what it would be. All parties, both the health and finance department, are in agreement that we can stop putting money into that and just hold it till we close.
Okay. So basically, it's gonna cost $1 million and we have $1 million?
We pretty much.
Close.
750 to $1 million, and we have 950 in there, so.
You can put in the extra, Jamie.
We'll all bring our own equipment and grade it ourselves and just save a little money. I don't mind doing that, that'd be a good day at work.
I don't know about that, but the, all right,
Put
so,
a tractor
I mean,
on
it
the
makes
package.
sense to me, that we wouldn't be putting money into a separate account if we have enough for what we need it for. Is there anybody on the board has any thoughts or comments?
No, because if the time comes, we can take extra from free cash.
I mean, if it runs
If
over
we
a
need
little
to.
bit, we'll have, yeah.
Or we can reevaluate
Yep.
if it looks like the cost is going up. All right, do we have a motion?
I'm not quite sure what the motion should be.
I think
Yeah,
the
for the
motion would
action.
be, yeah, I can, I'll make a motion.
Thank you.
I make a motion to discontinue placing revenue from the landfill into the landfill closure revolving fund effective July 1st, 2025. And instead, send that revenue collected to strike that, the last portion, the revenue collected from the landfill will be a general fund local receipt. And again, noting that the reason for this action is that we should have sufficient revenue for the capping or closure of the landfill. So with that, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Great.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Consideration and possible action on the reappointment of Heather Blakely, DPW Director, as fence viewer for a term to expire February 20th, 2025.
Please don't ask me anything about that, because I absolutely have no idea. It's a pro forma thing that it's just required. She doesn't
Yeah.
have to do, she's.
There's not too many fences like in the old
She
days.
goes out and just views them and says how pretty they
No,
are.
no.
How come such a short period?
I don't know why that's one of those that has to be brought back up, because I think you voted her last year too, so.
I don't remember voting fence viewer ever
Yeah,
before.
I'm not even
yeah,
sure what a
I know.
fence viewer is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to go out and look,
I think, yeah,
I mean, is it just to see if there's, I mean, it's probably
no,
for the
see if you
common or
put your
demand
fence
for.
on somebody else's.
On somebody else's
well,
property.
that's actually becomes an inspections and surveys and
Yeah.
things, but it's just in there that she's supposed to hold that title, so.
Okay, so it's just an
It's pro
antiquated,
forma,
it's
very
a
much
pro
an
forma
antiquated,
antiquated
yes.
charter position. Okay, I will make a motion to reappoint Heather Blakely, DPW Director, as fence viewer for a term to expire February 20th, 2025.
Yeah, I've got to check, I do have to check on that though and make sure, I don't know if it's that, I think it was supposed to get reappointed and that it's
With the
fulfilling a
others.
term,
Yeah,
yeah.
if you can fill in some of the
But I
details
will,
on
I
this
will
one.
get, I'll get you more on it just for fun, but it's, yeah.
Because it's,
Well,
what,
yeah.
5 weeks?
Yeah, it's 5 weeks, but yeah, I'm not sure why that got to my desk. The only other thing I could think of was if it was supposed to be
it's fine.
26, but, yeah.
And let's
I'll get
it,
you,
we'll
yeah.
reappoint it,
Yeah.
but with that, we'd like to have a
Yeah.
little fuller explanation, please. All right, consideration of possible action on execution of agreement with National Grid for easement use for the Grand Trunk.
So I held on, I'm holding on this one, and I just do want to briefly tell you why, because it's going to come in front of you. This is work being done on the trail project. We need easements from National Grid, but we also would need the easement to continue to use that trail. National Grid has sent us all the language to sign for that easement, but it requires us to carry additional insured. There are some exemptions for recreational purposes to have to carry additional insured for such easements, so we're just trying to get to the MGL on it and make sure that we don't, I don't think we have to pay it. We might have to pay it for the construction phase, but they have it written that we would have to pay it into perpetuity, and I don't think we're uncertain. I talked to Tom Chamberlain, and he thinks we should be exempt from that, so I want to just make sure we're not paying for something or signing something we don't have to pay for. So hopefully by next meeting, I'll have that in front of you. I did hear back from Grid today. She's reaching out to their legal counsel to try to get an answer. I emailed her a week ago and didn't hear anything. I emailed her again today, and she hasn't gotten an answer from legal yet, so.
Okay, we'll hold.
Yep.
Action item N, I make a motion to accept the resignation of this facilities manager.
Second.
All those in favor? Okay, now we get to old business. I'm gonna start if that's okay. So, and I think there's people in the crowd here about this. Our friends at Kerboys, so there has been, and I don't know how much of the board knows about, present states, it appears conservation entered into a settlement agreement. I think there are, let's say, fair concerns about that settlement agreement. It was executed by council. And I have repeatedly not been able to obtain an answer to how that property is not in use when it is an auto wholesaler. The storage of cars seems to be use. because that's kind of how these businesses work, you know, the longer you keep a car, that, you know, that's how the market, if that's what they're doing. But there clearly is activity on the site. If you drive by it in the wintertime, you see tire tracks all over the place. And I just have not received an answer on this topic. And without getting, you know, and maybe perhaps this is something that we'll have to, beyond that, we'll probably have to go into an executive session. But I would suggest that at this point, similar to when we were dealing with the Amazon Center, we consider appointing special counsel and someone better suited to perhaps address the particular issues that we have and perhaps get us some answers to the questions than our standing counsel, who, you know, this is not necessarily a negative comment about them. So that's sort of the what I wanted to raise to the board. I'm not sure what's going on there, and at this point, we should be. So I just wanted to get your thoughts about that.
Well, we really can't do anything until we know what's going on.
I know, and we need counsel to be the tip of that spear, and if we're not getting that, we need that. It's kind of what it is, and it's not. It's just the circumstance we're in. I think technically the TA sets the council, but I just wanted to make sure you guys were all comfortable with it. I think select person Dowling would be. But any thoughts or concerns?
That seems fair.
Yeah, Mary Lou, you
I agree.
no.
Okay.
Mary, you good fine with it?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
You didn't hear my.
So with that, I have no other old business.
Thank you.
Yeah. Mary Blanchard.
No old business.
Nothing old for me, thank you.
Nothing from me either.
All right, new business, Mary Lou?
No?
Chase?
No?
Well, not new, old, but you people all got the comparison letter I sent from
Yes.
the Department of Local Service comparison on free cash.
Yes.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Thank you for that, Mary.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Okay, and then I have no new business. Going to correspondence, we received, I'll just do it because Mary's absence, we received, we received a letter expressing concerns about, that is, cannot put my fingers on, about the UMass Memorial, yes, not accepting certain health insurance plans from a resident who rightfully is pretty concerned. It's not really something that's precisely in our purview, but it is concerning that I guess what I would just say is if these companies can write insurance, I don't understand how they're writing insurance policies that aren't accepted by UMass Memorial. I'm not sure it's UMass Memorial's fault, because I'm not sure they're wrong to do this, but it is a concern. And everybody here and everybody listening should really double check now that Harrington is open, that UMass is merged with Harrington, that their relevant coverage is taken. And to explore their other options, which really is Bay State and St. V's. There's not much else in the area for major hospitals. So that's the correspondence.
And I will add quickly to that, there are issues also now with Mass Health and Tufts. And so people, for instance, in recovery centers, going to like recovery center looking for beds, looking for recovery treatment, if they have Tufts through Mass Health, they're being denied now too. So it's even harder to get beds for people who have Tufts because there's so few beds anyway for recovery and in-house. So the problem actually is a large.
Oh no, we're in
a big issue.
We're in a hospital care emergency, and I don't think people are really talking about it. But well, take it as it comes in our little town. All right, moving on to approval of minutes. All right, starting with the December 2nd, 2024. Minutes, do we have, everybody's here, do we have any questions or concerns?
We just have a couple of grammatical errors.
All right, do you want to point them out?
Okay, on page 2, the first line, where for several truck purchases that need to get purchased, I think it should be be purchased.
For several truck purchases,
Purchases that need to be,
for several trucks that need to be purchased.
purchases that need to be made
Yeah, or
before
purchases
new
that need to be
regulations
made.
kick in.
Yep.
What's the next one, Mary?
Lou?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, on page 3, under the forest cutting on 7 Lad Road, the second paragraph where it says that Mr. Master explained this involves property on Lad Road that has been under his management on for more than 10 years. I don't think on should be there. I really dislike doing this.
It's your Wordle.
Better you than me all the time.
I don't do Wordle.
Oh, you should try it.
I think that's all I had on that one, yes.
All right, anything else?
Nope. Motion to approve the minutes of December 2nd, 2024 as amended.
All right, moving to January 6th, 2025.
You want to vote on
Want
that?
to vote on that?
All those in favor? The ayes have it. Sorry about that. All right, moving on to January 6th, 2025. Any edits?
Yes.
Ben?
Okay, page 1, under department reports, under the police department, at the last line, another officer was out for medical issue, should be a medical issue.
Okay. Anything else?
Not that I'm gonna agree to. Oh, yeah, one other one. On the second page, first line, stating Sturbridge Fire Department is busy department, should be is a busy department. That's all I have.
Makes sense. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes of January 6th, 2025 as amended.
Second?
Second?
All right, all those in favor? Ayes have it. All right.
Okay, Francis, oh, excuse me, may I, through the chair?
Yeah, of course.
The second set has the pages numbered, which makes it much easier when we go to do corrections or point things out. Because in the past, we haven't always gotten minutes numbered. Yes.
All right, great. Yeah, thanks for that, Francis. All right, now the citizens forum. Anyone from the community? Go ahead, Becky. State your name and address, please.
Dendro, between South Road, everybody, I promise I will not make myself too comfortable here. I just want to say first, I'm not doing professional capacity, I'm not representing the agency or anything of that nature, I'm speaking as a resident.
Sure.
Thank you for bringing that up about the junkyard, because, right, the notice of intent went out with the settlement with that, and there were some concerning things in that. Partially related to zoning, that things that, are allowing them to move things into areas where uses have not been. So I think it's really important, whether you stay with current town council or another one, that the correct questions get asked. Because my understanding with grandfathered non-conforming uses is that you have 2 years. So after 2 years of not using an area, you lose that ability to use it. It's not necessarily the whole property. The area that was actually talked about where they were going to move some of these vehicles was actually up at the top of the hill where the airstrip is. Not too sure how familiar everybody is with that area. But that's an area that if you go back and you look through time at aerial photos, which are available, they haven't used probably since between 2005 and 2008. So it doesn't seem like the zoning would allow that. That'd be an expansion of the use. So I think that is a concern. And the big concern about that area is that on the other side of that hill, I'm not too sure how familiar you are with that, is that that's the Southbridge Public Water Supply over there. So those tributaries that come up to this property where the airstrip is are mapped as like outstanding resource waters, zone A's, for the protection of those tributaries to the drinking water supply in Southbridge. So it's not only, the wells along Mashpog Road or South Road that are private, it's that public drinking water supply. So also too, I think it's important to know and understand that, that it came up is because that there's been activity on that property without going through the proper channels for permits. And it slipped through the cracks. No one realized at that time. We know that now. And the big thing with conservation, and this is an industrial use, is that they're required, when you do something that's considered a project activity, so if you're not exempt, you have to file, and you have to comply with stormwater management standards. That's an industrial use. They're a land use with a high potential pollutant load, so they need to have protective measures in place. Like we, recently permitted in the past here in town, interstate towing. They had to come in, they did the right thing. You got to comply with standards, you got to do stormwater management. That also went through the fire department. They commented on site plan review about the storage of electric cars and batteries, all of those things. So I just want to say too, I think it's important that, holistically, everybody needs to be looking at these things. Like you talked about like the use activity out there. Yes, there's been some activity out there. Who knows what they're doing? We really don't know. But what about having, the police drive by once in a while and kind of document that? You can use the resources that you have here too. So, obviously I'm not going to go into a lot of things. I did speak at the conservation meeting, and I think if you haven't watched it, I think you should and understand a lot of the different aspects of it that relate to it. But remember, this business was in town for 10 years with no permits. The only thing they did was they came and got the license renewed. They didn't get Board of Health permits for the house. The garage they worked on when Nelson had gone out there previously and was told to leave the property. Board of Health, they were required within 2 years of buying the property because it was a cash purchase to do a Title V inspection. They didn't do that. There was people living in the house. They have a business there, bathroom. On their website too, they said they're a trash hauler. I don't know if that was looked at recently when they got the business license to the town clerk, because that's not a grandfathered use. It's not allowed in a residential neighborhood. And then, they never had the business license. So if they didn't have a business license, the assessor doesn't send them, I think it's called a Form 2, which is the business assets that you have to pay on. So they haven't been paying taxes on their business for 10 years. One of the things they mentioned in their conservation application was that they, after getting their approvals, they were going to file for, it's called the NIPD's Industrial Stormwater Permit with the EPA. So again, another license permit that they're supposed to have, they didn't have for 10 years. So that's like manages like their stormwater runoff, because they are that industrial use with like high potential pollutant load. So there's a lot of things that, have slipped through the cracks, and I'm glad you're paying attention to it now. It was just kind of alarming to see that, and it seemed like, there wasn't communication going on in regards to it.
Well, I will push back there, Becky, because I will note that we pulled the permit in the first place, and we have been paying attention to it. So that framing is not. But I understand that we want things to happen a certain way, and the right hand and the left hand should know what they're doing.
I'm just commenting because, there was comments in the detailed agenda from zoning that said they couldn't do certain things. So it just seemed like.
I understand that. You get what I'm saying.
I do.
So this is a separate process, and we are going to be dealing with it. The points you're raising go to the larger points, regardless of the particular details. Is that we don't know what they've been doing, and we should know what they've been doing. So and I understand that these processes in general, it all just takes time, and all the points you're making are excellent and all make sense to me. But the larger point here is this is, it's a process, and they have certain property rights, and the conservation process and the things that have happened there are all, I get what you're saying, but we're talking about something a little bit distinct here, if that makes any sense.
Well, it does. No, I understand that. And I know it's a separate process, but there is overlap, and there is the ability, the one thing I was going to say, right, they have legal rights to use it, they have legal rights to use it within the confines of what the laws allow. I understand that. And if and when, what my closing here is going to be, is that if and when can get to the point of establishing that, there should be conditions within your permit, because there's no other regulatory authority. DEP doesn't regulate this business, so there's things that I think that when you get to those questions with town council or whoever it is, you should be asking those things. What are the type of conditions that we can have? What do other towns do? Like the site plan that shows where use allowances are there any type of like monitoring requirements? Board of Health mentioned those before. So really thinking about that when it gets to that point in time too.
Well, yeah, but you're jumping ahead to that point in time, and right now we have a business on a piece of property that's exceedingly dirty that appears to be operating without any license at all from the town of Sturbridge. So all of the details you're talking about are perhaps important downstream, but right now, we don't know what they're doing, and except we know what they shouldn't be doing.
No, I know.
So-
I'm just
so-
saying, I don't know when discussions will come back up. I just want to make my points, and those are things
I
that
get
should
it.
be thought about as like in the future here if we get to that point.
Yeah, thanks.
And how can residents in the area be made aware or pay attention to things as they progress that become public information about how you're going to work with them?
Most of that will probably be through whatever action we take, because it will be litigation. The initial points is I'm not sure.
Okay.
Because the answer is, without knowing what we're doing, I can't tell you. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I understand that. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
didn't know if people should just be paying attention to like agendas and try to get updates or.
Sure, that makes sense.
Okay,
Thanks, Becky.
you're it then.
Yeah. All right, anything else from the community? Come on down, sir.
Hey, my name's Jonathan Scott. I live at 67 Mashpog Road. I will be a lot briefer than Becky and a lot less detailed. But as far as Kerboy, the last time I was in this room was after a public hearing where their class 2 and 3 licenses were revoked. And since then, I've seen multiple cars parked with for sale signs out front. So I just wanted to make sure that the board was
Please
aware
take
of it.
pictures when you see that type of thing.
Please send them.
It's hard when I'm the only one driving.
I know.
If you do, that would be great. We do watch as best as we can with the departments that we can, but it would be really great if you sent a picture.
And obviously stay
safe.
Yeah.
Yes,
Be
yes,
smart.
from
But no,
the road.
we appreciate it, and I've noticed the same thing.
Thank you.
All right. Do we?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second. All those in favor?
you.
Thanks.
So you guys signed a couple documents for me.